is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game. Big Ten champions. Big Ten champs.
National champions, yes.
Oklahoma City bound the Oregon Ducks.
Awesome day to be a Duck, man.
Boom inside. Touchdown Oregon. He gets loose. Fires. Hit. Pops the three. Oh, yeah. It's all Oregon.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider.
It's about how to be a group of people that know how to love each other to the absolute fullest.
Pleasure, a joy to be with them each and every day, and I can't wait for the future.
It's just fun to be a part of a community that cares, that is passionate, and when we come together, powerful things can happen.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
This is one of my favorite shows of the year. The Monday after the first football game day, because we are back in the full swing of things inside the Country Financial Studio on Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union, where we finally got to see Oregon play football against another team at Autzen Stadium, and I'm not sure it could have started any better for Oregon than the way that week one went for the Ducks on Saturday. First off, it was great to see everybody out at Autzen Stadium, a stripe out, perfectly executed by the fans. Pretty much everybody was assigned to their section in the green or in the yellow. It looked great as the bird's eye view we had in the booth at Autzen Stadium. It was also a perfect weather game day for Oregon football. It really could not have been better football atmosphere for a late August kick than it was at 1 o'clock on Saturday, where Oregon got things started, and it couldn't have been a better start for the Ducks, because pretty much the first play was a huge explosive run by Noah Whittington, and then the Ducks were off to the races and never really looked back en route to a huge victory against Montana State, a 59-13 victory against Montana State, where Oregon absolutely dominated in so many different facets of the game. You had Oregon with balance across the board from start to finish, from their passing to their rushing to their depth the entire way through. Oregon had the exact same rushing yards as they did passing yards, 253 yards for both. Oregon had 12 different players rush the football, 7 of which were running backs, 3 of which were quarterbacks, and 2 of which were skill position players, being Decorian Moore and Kenyon Sadiq. Oregon had 10 different players catch a pass in this ball game, most of which from Dante Moore, but some from Austin Novosad, because Oregon played 4 different quarterbacks in this game. The Ducks had 27 different players make a tackle in this game for Oregon. The Ducks also blocked 2 punts in this game, and every single one of the drives ended in a score. 8 of the 9 ended in a touchdown, except for the final drive of the game where it was ended in victory formation. I think that's better than scoring on every drive. Because when you get to take a knee at the end of the game, it means that you were dominant from start to finish, and that's what Oregon brought to the table on Saturday. For me, what was on full display was the depth that has been talked about this team throughout the course of fall camp. That depth was on full display. We're still seeing a lot of competition across the board for Oregon amongst so many different positional groups. There were so many players playing above-the-line football. When you have 4 different quarterbacks, you have 7 different running backs, you have every single one of the scholarship receivers that was active in the game catching a pass. You have so many defensive backs. You got to see so much depth on the defensive line and the linebacking core. You got to see 2 different kickers in the ball game. And you never got to see a punter. There's still competition in the punting room. We don't even know who's going to be the punter yet because Oregon didn't have to punt in week 1. Above-the-line football, and it's an increased floor in terms of Oregon's talent, I think, is what we saw on full display in week 1. A strong result for the Ducks, a 59-13 victory over a strong Montana State team in the FCS. That was not a slouch of a program that Oregon went against, and we know how difficult of a game it was against a top-tier FCS opponent in Idaho last year. Oregon came ready to play to start opening week this season, and the Ducks, a goose egg in the loss column. It's how you want it to stay all year long. Oregon got 13 wins in a row before that goose egg went off the board in the loss column. Ducks started off 2025, 1-0. Coach Dan Lanning, I think, pretty happy about the result. Still some things to work on, to clean up. There always is. But a 59-13 victory. Good to see Oregon out on the field at Autzen Stadium. Let's hear from Dan Lanning, brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Better cancer care, close to home.
Well, always fun to see Autzen full, right? And our fans are great as always. I think a lot of things went right our way today. There's even some moments where we made mistakes and still had success. I was really proud of the fact that we got to see a lot of players in this game today. A lot of guys go out there and compete, and I think there's still a lot for us to be able to clean up and still give ourselves an opportunity to assess exactly where we're at. But overall, proud of the compete, proud of the guys never looking at the scoreboard and continue to just work and focus, and overall proud of the product.
Really efficient day from Dante today. I'm just curious what you saw from him that you liked, that you saw carry over from practice.
He's sharp. He was sharp. He knew where to go with the ball, was decisive with his reads, was able to make some checks. I thought we had a simple plan and a plan that we could execute at a high level, and he went out there and executed it really well.
Yeah, when you and the staff talk all offseason about just the quality of depth that you had across the board, and you're able to showcase it even before the game got completely out of hand, does that validate a lot of the depth that you guys saw all offseason, that you were able to see it even before halftime?
Yeah, I've said it a bunch, but strength in numbers has got to be a weapon for us. And throughout the season, you never know who might go down and who might be up. And because of that, we want to make sure we get great experience for players that are playing above the line football. We've always said it, that if you're good enough, you're old enough. And if you're good enough, you'll get an opportunity to play. And we have a lot of guys that are good enough right now.
Going along with that depth, what went into the decision to use both kickers today?
That opportunity, experience is invaluable. Both guys have done a really good job, been competitive. Gage, I think, is a guy that can be a big time weapon for us in the future. And he needed to get some of those reps, right? That's that opportunity to create that experience.
I'm not sure if you've seen the film yet, but on Gary's touchdown in the third quarter, DeCorian had a pancake block in the end zone, and he celebrated as much as Gary did the touchdown. What does that mean to you that you see true freshman wide receivers kind of taking that to heart?
I'm really proud of that play. He's blocking the wrong guy, but he's blocking his ass off. Right? So, that's what's exciting. We can make full speed mistakes, and then we can still make them full speed and do an unbelievable job for our team. That's huge. So, that's what I was proud of today, the effort, and there's still opportunities to clean up some stuff for us overall. But DeCorian's going to be a really special player for us. I don't think anybody's surprised to know that. But to see the effort and the way we talked about, you're going to tell us how much you love your teammates by the way you block on the perimeter today at wideout. And we knew this was a game that we had to outrush our opponent. Right, that in their 6 losses that they've had over time, they haven't outrushed their opponent. That was going to be an important factor for us. So that showed up today, and those guys blocking on the edge was a big piece of that.
No negative yards, no punts. The growth from scrimmage 1 till now, I guess, just how proud are you of that, of your offense?
Well, it's important that we continue to grow, right? This is one step in the right direction. Certainly a better start than what we had last season. There were some changes that we made coming into the season to be prepared for those moments, but it's just one game. So I'm more excited about the growth that goes on, moving forward beyond what just happened between now and fall camp.
What do you make of the depth in the running back room, especially the 2 true freshmen being able to put that game away in the second half?
Yeah, I think it's really special, right? And I think that's going to be our challenge as a coaching staff when you have a lot of talent. Where do you give those snaps? Where do you give those reps? How are you creative in a way that you can keep everybody involved? And it takes guys being selfless and saying, okay, I want to see everybody eat, see the team eat, and ultimately that's going to create a lot of success for us.
Kenyon played a decent amount at the X today. Is that something you see being a big part of the rotation going forward?
I think Kenyon can line up anywhere on the field and be dangerous. So we'll line him up anywhere and everywhere.
Hey, Dan, you mentioned the start of last season. How did you guys, or what did you do to come in more prepared for this one? And then how did you use last year's game in your prep with the guys for this one?
Yeah, just ultimately what you put on film is what you're going to see the rest of the season. There were some wrinkles, some things that showed up early in the season last year that we had to deal with the rest of the season because we didn't defend it well or we didn't execute it well on offense. So I think that was a big piece of it, is realizing we call it copycats in our world, right? Things that you've given up in the past, being prepared for those in the future. And I thought we had good plans for some of those. ultimately, I thought our volume was smaller on both sides of the ball. I thought our guys came in, ready to roll. We didn't grind them so hard in fall camp that they weren't able to go execute at a high level today.
Going back to the running backs, can you talk about what Noah did to earn a starting job, and where does Hughes fit in the pecking order now, given that he only had 1 carry today?
Yeah, we got a ton of really good backs. So I'd say I want to go watch the film, but they earn it every single day in practice. We got a bunch of guys that can play winning football, and again, that's the challenge for us to figure out where does that fall. But we get to see it every single day in practice, and these guys would tell you that Noah Whittington's earned that every single day in practice, and his leadership and how he's worked.
Jeremiah credited with 2 punt blocks. What does that mean to you as a coach to have someone who, is vying for a starting role in the offense, having that impact in special teams?
Yeah, you talk about like biggest growth guys, like guys that took some of the biggest steps. And I'd say J-Mac's one of those guys that's taken the biggest step for us in his second season here. His mindset, his temperament, the way he approaches every day, special teams being important to him. So I was excited to see him out there making an impact for us today.
A guy who's been around here as long as you have instantly comes out and sets a tone with a 35-yard run to instantly put you guys in their territory. How does he set the tone and kind of as a leader for that running back room?
Yeah, just in everything that he does. I mean, he's serious all the time, right? And he loves what he's doing. He loves his teammates. He works really hard at practice, and there's results on the field because of that.
Can you glean anything at all comparing this game to last year's game against Idaho when in the fourth quarter was a 1-possession game? Obviously, you guys recovered from that, went 13-1, but to dominate the way you did this game, can you measure that at all against?
Yeah, I mean, there's some moments I told the players today that sometimes God can teach you a lesson without having to suffer the consequences. Right? Like a good example of that today was Gary fumbling on the punt return, right? And we didn't have to pay for that, right? But that could have been. Hopefully, we can learn a lesson there without having to suffer a consequence. I think we did that last season. Sometimes adversity is really good for a team. So I don't know exactly how we're going to look in adverse moments right now, and that's something that we got to be prepared for. And there's a lot for us to be able to clean up. But it's a new season. It's a new team. We're going to get attacked in new ways. This next opponent had a little bit more time. Oklahoma State coming in, they're going to have a little bit more time to prepare for us. That might look a little different. So it's one day at a time. How can we be the best version of us today?
Brandon Iffy got starts at corner. Your thoughts on those two in particular, but also you rotated a ton. How beneficial is that going to be for you the rest of the year?
Yeah, I think it's really important. And again, I said it before that we have a lot of above-the-line players at that position. So the depth's important. Being able to be fresh is going to be really important, and figuring out what guys can execute when the bullets are flying is really important.
When they're as effective as they are running the ball, and you hold them to 1.7 on the day, 2.8 adjusted for sacks, what was key to making that successful, to making that happen?
Well, it's just having a focus, right? If you go out there and have 15 goals, you're probably going to accomplish none of them, right? We went out there and we really had one goal, right? Let's control the run game on both sides of the ball.
3 touchdowns today for Jordan, a true freshman. How much is he going to factor into that running back rotation, especially using his size in the red area?
Yeah, I didn't realize there was that many, but he's proven to be a really good short yardage back for us. He falls forward. He's a good back in the field as well. And again, that goes to some of the depth that we have in that room.
Go back to Dante. Was there any one play, you mentioned a check you might have got into, Dan. Was there any one play, one throw, one check that stands out to you that was particularly good?
No, just the timing. One of the plays that I was most proud of is him down there in the red area. He's moving to the right, and he's got an opportunity to maybe try to punch one in and throw one in a tight window. And decisions that we've made in the past where that's been a potential takeaway or a ball in jeopardy, and he tucked it and he ran it, and we ended up kicking the field goal to go up 17. Right. So to me, that's a great decision that'll get no hoopla. He didn't make the extraordinary pass. What did he do? He protected the ball, and we walked away with points.
Dante Moore's performance, the 2-minute drill.
I thought that was a great situation for us there. We had one timeout, limited time, right? Wanted to be able to execute at a high level, and I thought he did a really good job of that. I thought you also saw some really good wide receiver play of understanding getting out of bounds in 2 minutes. There was a lot of communication on our headset about, potential clocks, right? Potential field goals, right? We even had that if that last play wasn't successful, we were going to try to squeeze off one more play before we call a timeout for a field goal. So that's, practice showing up in a game and talking through those situations a lot. And those guys have an understanding when's the timeout going to be called, moving with the proper tempo, but they did a good job in that moment.
Coach Stein talked in the offseason about utilizing other personnel other than 11 when you don't have a guy like Tez you trust out there all the time. What did you think about utilizing those heavier sets, getting the extra tight ends and running backs in there today?
Well, I think we trust a lot of the guys. If they're on the field for us today, we trust them. But ultimately, when you have weapons at multiple positions, right, it makes you a lot harder to defend if you can line up in 12 and it look like 11 or 10. If you can line up in 13 and create other formations, that's a lot more challenging defensively to figure out how you're going to match up.
What goes through your head when you see Kenyon or Decorian hurdle the dude?
Ball security. I'm excited to go back and watch and see where the ball was at in those moments.
You mentioned those formations, 13, 14 personnel. What's the balance between putting those on tape for future teams to see, but also wanting to see your team execute those in a live game situation?
Yeah, there was certainly some stuff in the bag that we didn't use today, right? That we had available if we needed it, and it didn't come up to that. That was a discussion at halftime, right? There's a lot of things that we didn't run today, right? But always you want to carry enough that you can go win a game.
That was Coach Lanning talking about the Week 1 win for Oregon football. And a big theme of that press conference for Coach Lanning was simplicity. A lot of the scheme was simplified, and a lot of the players executed a simplified scheme to make it dynamic and generate explosives. And a big part of that was a quarterback that looked awfully efficient in his first start as a Duck. We're getting to hear from QB1 Dante Moore when we return after this on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hear that? The crowd's going wild for all the end of summer fun at Toyota's National Sales Event. Going now until September 2nd. Woo-hoo!
See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hear that? The crowd's going wild for all the end of summer fun at Toyota's National Sales Event. Going now until September 2nd. Woo-hoo!
See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Toyota, let's go places.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
You wanted to be cool, which led you to smoking, which led to a pack a day. Then you met that special someone, which led to starting a life with them, which led to wanting to live longer, which led to quitting. Then you heard you may be at risk for lung cancer, which led you to getting a low-dose CT scan. If you smoked, get scanned. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now. Don't forget to say you will. Don't forget to say yeah.
Back inside of the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here on a Monday after a successful Saturday for Oregon football. A successful start to a few Oregon athletic seasons. We'll talk about the start for Trent Kirsten's volleyball squad, as well as Oregon cross country later in the program. Also, Oregon soccer continuing their fall campaign. But Oregon football off to a resounding 1-0 start with a 59-13 win over Montana State. And the quarterback, his first start at Oregon, Dante Moore, he looked awfully comfortable. He was 18 for 23 passing in this ball game, and there was even maybe a drop or two that could have made that completion percentage rise a few ticks above 78%. He threw for 213 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air. He also had 3 rushes for 18 yards. Utilized his legs, especially early in the ball game, and then got to rest his legs late because he didn't even play in the fourth quarter because the Ducks had the game in hand because of how efficient Dante Moore was running the offense. It was a lot of competition throughout fall camp. Didn't necessarily know exactly who was going to start on the opening snap for Oregon football. Dante Moore, he earned the spot for the Ducks, and after the game, he spoke with the media after his first start in green and yellow. Dante Moore.
You waited a long time for this moment. What does it feel like at first, and what does it feel like when you deliver it in that way where you're able to dance with the Duck because things are going that well?
Yeah, it's
It's been 2 years, man, and it's just a blessing to be able to play here at the University of Oregon in front of a great crowd and great fans. But I feel like the best thing was just the way we moved the ball as a whole unit. Offense did a great job of protection-wise. We had a great run game. First play was like, I don't know how far the run was, but from that standpoint, when you have a good run game, you can have a good pass game. So we had a great job as a unit. Coaches prepared us the right way, and excited for the next week.
10 different guys caught passes today. How helpful is that for you in doing your job, knowing that you have so many guys around you that you can get the ball and trust them to do it in open space?
Yeah, it just proves that this class and this unit we have as receivers and tight ends, and it's just skills we have is just unbelievable. I mean, as a quarterback, it feels great when other people catch the ball, and as a unit, you just feel more connected. Usually, a lot of times, it could be just one person, two people catching the ball, and other receivers kind of feel left out. But when you have great guys that can make contested catches, that can make the plays of the ball in their hand, it's easier for a quarterback just to put the ball out there, and then they'll do what they got to do.
Dante, just looking at the final score and the final stats, it looks like this game was a mismatch. Did it feel like a mismatch while you were playing it?
Montana State, we always got to give kudos to them. 2 national championships in 4 years. Great squad, very competitive squad. They're always competing for a natty. So watching them on film, of course, you never want to underestimate your opponents. This week we attacked practice how we would attack any other day. And Montana State's a great team, of course. It just went our way this game, and of course, we pushed ourselves at practice, and the work we put in is just what helped us get our results. So, shout out Montana State, great coaching staff, great players, but I feel like the ball's on our side of the day, and we worked real hard for it.
You've been in DeCorian's shoes before, stepping on campus, and instantly high expectations as a true freshman. How did you kind of see him navigate that before today, and then what did you make of his performance today and the impact he had?
Yeah, me and Corey have a very close relationship. Like the best thing with him is he's always wanting to work. I always train in Dallas before spring bar, fall camp, and just to get back on my toes and make sure that he was down there with me. Of course, I'm in his hometown, but just the extra work we put in. Of course, I know how it is when I was 17 on campus. I don't know how old he is, but it's just making sure that he's good. Clear mind. Make sure that he just attacks every day. I know it can be a lot on his plate, but that more thing is a great thing, and we love it, and we appreciate each other, but he's always willing to work, and it proves that when the ball's in his hand, he's electrifying.
How much easier does the running game make your job when your back's not only able to create the explosive, just pick up chunks and create second and short, third and short that are then easier to convert for you?
Yeah, we have amazing running backs. I mean, it's just crazy how there's just so many great running backs in one squad, and it's kind of, it feels great when you look to your left and you have a new running back in because it's new, fresh legs, and they're going to get 5 yards a pop. So just having a great run game, of course, is the best thing. As an offensive unit, you always want to have the most rushing yards. So we did a great job, but really it starts up front in the front five. I mean, Pancho does a great job communicating everything, and we all move as a unit, and when the run game is there, so, everything's good.
Going back into Corian, on Gary's touchdown, he had that pancake block, and Dan said that he was blocking the wrong guy, but regardless, he still blocked him in the end zone and finished with him on the ground. What does that mean to you to see one of your teammates do that, especially a true freshman, and have that mean so much to him?
Yeah, he did block the wrong guy. It's crazy how it happens, but, I mean, at least he did the right way. He made someone get on the ground, but, I mean, he's always had that toughness. He's always had that swag of when my hands are on a defender that they're not going to make the tackle, that I'm going to finish the play, so I feel like our coaching staff does a great job when we're at practice, making sure that, we do my bracket. We do the things of beating the ball on the perimeter and, driving, our legs and things of that nature. I'm saying it like I'm in the drill as well, but, I'm never in that drill. But our receivers do a great job and, on the perimeter, and, DeCorian is young, but don't let his size fool you. He's a guy that can attack you for sure.
Can you give me your impressions of Noah and what he did during training camp to maybe earn this job, and how you feel about starting with him in the backfield?
Yeah, I mean, Noah is an electrifying player. I mean, we kind of watched the Illinois clip of last year probably 100 times of him, of course, lowering his shoulder. But, I mean, the first play of the game, I mean, when you want to run outside zone, that's probably the best look you can have. And, of course, he broke the run, did a great job. But, I mean, when we have a run play called, and I just know that we're always going to get 5 yards in the pop. And Noah's always going to do that. He's always going to find a way and make a play. Even if it's stuffed, he's always going to bounce it and make sure that he can, do great things. But I'm just blessed to have a running back room we have. It takes a lot of stress off on me.
How much did you guys talk about wanting to make a statement today compared to the opener last year against Idaho, and then the last game being the loss to Ohio State in the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, to be honest, it's kind of what Coach Lanning always says is feeble. I mean, the only people that we really care about is the people that are in that room with us that go out there in that field. And, of course, last year you can say Idaho game wasn't the right way to kick it off, and it wasn't. This year we're not even thinking about Idaho game. We're not thinking about if we're going to come out flat. We're just thinking about how we're going to attack as a whole unit when it comes to the first drive. And, of course, as offense, you're hoping to get the ball first because you want to make sure you score first and get the drives going. But I feel like it's that feeble mindset is kind of what we had coming in, during fall camp and still is right now. So, no, we don't want nobody jumping on the train later, when things are going great. But overall, I feel like when we're all as a unit together and we care about each other in that room, we're unstoppable.
Last season, your first season here, you got to sit behind Dylan Gabriel, who played at this level for 6 seasons. What are some of the things that you learned from that you're taking into this season?
Yeah, preparation. Of course, Dylan was a guy that was a vet in the, in college football, and just the way he prepared, the way he just attacked every day. That was my roomie when he was in the hotel together, and he's kind of a great guy because it'll be a point where, like, I'll quiz him, and it's kind of just, if a defensive look happens, he'll be like, hey, what do you see on this look? And he's always listening for feedback. You can be so grown at some point in a league or whatever you're in, and you kind of don't want to hear feedback because you feel like you know everything. But Dylan always showed me you always want to learn, you always want to reach out, and Dylan, man, I love him to death. I miss him a lot, but he's taught me a lot about preparation.
Dan was saying that of all your plays today, the one that might stand out most to him was the decision to hang on to it there on 3rd and goal and just hang on, take the 5 yards, and set up the field goal. Walk us through that play where, if in practice that you might have tried to get greedy before, you might have tried to force something before, as Dan was saying, that you make the decision that you do, and is that the play that you're most proud of that you made today?
Yeah, he cussed me out pretty bad during practice. He brings the fire for sure. But I love that as a coach. It's kind of, it just reflects back how my freshman year was, forcing throws and not making the right decisions, and things can turn out bad that way. And also he showed me the clips of, Dylan when he was here, like Michigan State game, red area, forcing throws. And as a quarterback, you always learn from the situations. And at practice, I've done it a couple times. It hasn't turned out the way I wanted it to turn out, so he's cussed me out 1,000 times. So I kind of hear him in the back of my head, and every time I'm scrambling, like, don't throw it, don't throw it. So I feel like it was great for me just to run out of bounds, get what I can get. Field goal unit comes out. We have Akis, who would never miss a field goal. He's always going to make sure he gets it in. But I feel like, that was a great decision for me. Made a lot of great decisions. Take what the defense gives me, and we played great.
Congrats on the win. I'm
Appreciate it.
curious, how do you go about your process of correcting your game despite like a big win today? I mean, you won a lot of big games in your career, but how do you kind of go about challenging yourself going forward with the rest of the season?
Yeah, there's a lot of great things. There can always be a lot of bad things, but of course, you want to enjoy the great things. You want to see the positive things that we did as an offense, but the bad things can be, late on a throw. It can be, it got caught, but, if you play against somebody else, it might be, batted down, or just, just different ways to, show different body language on a certain play, different, checks on the run game. It's just, things to always learn from, of course. We did a great job protecting the ball, but I feel like personally with me, my biggest thing is first, felt good to be back, but getting my breath back. I mean, a lot of times when I'm on the field for a long drive, it's like, practice, you do a couple reps and get off, and kind of feels great when you have a long drive and you're pushing about 12, 13 plays. I just got to worry about, fitness, make sure that my breath is great because we can't breathe. You can't go out there and do what you have to do. But overall, a lot of great things to learn, a lot of things just to grow from, but I feel like as a unit, we do a great job, tomorrow, learning what's going on, Coach Lanning, Coach Stein. But, yeah, we're going to learn from there.
Going back to maybe taking the simple play first, that drive, the 2-minute drive to end the half, can you just walk through the plays and decision-making? Just how big of a confidence booster was that?
Yeah, 2 minute, I mean, we practiced damn a lot at practice, like so much. And there's been points where we've had a great 2-minute drive as an offense, and the defense has a great 2-minute drive against us. And, I mean, you practice it so much that when it comes to, like, how practice is, it's crazy because it's kind of the same situation. Like, 1 timeout, 1 minute, you got to drive down the field. And I remember when I first was thinking about 2 minutes, I'm thinking about chunks, big plays, but that's not kind of how it is. You want to make sure that, of course, you want to move the chains and be alert for clocks, be alert for, getting the ball on the sidelines and that nature. But I feel like we did rep it so many times, and I took check downs to Makai, J Mac on the fallout. I mean, it's just so many great things that happen in the drive, and the post to Malik. But it's just kind of, great when you practice something so much. And then when it comes to, like, the time we have to do it in the game, man, you guys succeeded. And it's a great feeling. But I feel like as a whole unit, the way we pushed ourselves, tempoed, and it just felt great, and it was successful.
It felt great for him on the field. It felt great for me up in the booth. I'm sure it felt great for everybody at Autzen Stadium. It was fun to watch Dante Moore under center, taking the snaps for Oregon to start off the football season, and a resounding 1-0 for the Ducks after a 59-13 win over Montana State. Getting to learn a lot about this Oregon football team, who's getting starting spots where, and Noah Whittington earned himself a starting spot for Oregon, getting to hear from the first-string running back that we saw on Saturday. Noah Whittington, he had a productive day. He spoke to the media afterwards. We'll hear from him after this. Timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs, and for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, non-profit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working at our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone, or just taking a deep, calming breath to ground yourself. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org.
There's danger out there. It lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark, and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here with you after a fantastic weekend. It really was. The first weekend of football. I was talking with Scott when I was coming in today. I feel rejuvenated now that football's back, mostly with Oregon, but just to see all the games from around the rest of the country, and especially on this first opening week where there's no NFL football. So last night we had games. Tonight we've got a game. There were games on Thursday, Friday, all the way through the weekend. I've spent a lot of time over the last few days watching football, but nothing has been more fun than being at Autzen Stadium and watching Oregon roll to a 59-13 victory, and it started from really the first offensive play where Noah Whittington broke off a 35-yard run, and then it was only fitting that he was the first man to get into the end zone for Oregon with a rushing touchdown. He had 10 attempts, 68 yards, and a touchdown. Noah Whittington. Coach Lanning talked about it, said that, well, he earned in practice the starting spot for Oregon, and it seemed like on the field he earned that starting spot as well. Noah Whittington, it's good to see him fully healthy, rushing the ball for Oregon. He spoke with the media after Oregon's 59-13 win over Montana State. Let's hear from the running back Noah Whittington.
Just coming out 35 yards on the first play from scrimmage, how do you think that sets the tone for not only your entire team, but especially the running backs in that room when those young guys are able to close things out in the second half?
I think he just, got the ball rolling for a very special offense that we had. I feel like first play, no matter if it was to me or to somebody else, the tone would have got set regardless.
I think a lot of fans were probably surprised by what Jordan did today with team leading 3 touchdowns. But are you guys surprised by that at all? Have you seen that stuff from him in practice?
Oh, yeah. I'm not surprised at all. You know, we get down by the goal line, nobody's stopping him from getting 1 yard, 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards. You know, he a big back man, and he runs with a lot of power, and he showed that today.
You've been here for a while now, and you've never really been the number one guy. What was it like to finally get that call as like the number one back for this team?
I mean, it felt good, but honestly, I'm more of a team-oriented person anyway, so I kind of didn't really feel any different because I'm more of like whenever you get your opportunities, you make the most of them type of person. So
Lanning and Samples during fall camp were very high on the depth of your room, and obviously we saw that depth today. What does that say about your guys' potential and just what's the benefits for you as a runner, the depth and be able to play so many guys?
I think it says a lot, honestly. Potential and, you know, routine as well. Like, at our room, we pride ourselves on our process. So we do a lot of extra stuff as a group, you know, throughout the week that I feel like helps us separate ourselves from the rest of the running back rooms in the country, and I feel like we put that on display today.
You mentioned you're a team guy, maybe not thinking too much individually, but did it pump you up at all competitively when they brought in a high-end transfer to compete with you for the starting job?
Yeah, I'm more of I like competition regardless. You know, I've been competing since I've gotten here, so yeah, it pumped me up, yeah.
What did you make of Diarra's ability to create chunk plays out of the backfield and make those explosives as a guy who is a true freshman? We don't like to hit the rock like that.
It wasn't any surprise to us. I mean, this is what Diarra does on a daily at practice, so I'm expecting to see a lot more of that this year from him.
You've been a part of some really talented running back rooms, 2023 with Bucky Irving, last season with Jordan James. This season, Mekhi Hugh transfers over. What is the talent in those rooms? How does it motivate you? And then how are you motivating the other players in that running back room?
I think iron sharpens iron regardless. So Coach Shumples always says it, like, every day you got to come to practice like you got something to prove. And I feel like that's kind of been the expectation of the running back room since I've been here, since we have had so many good backs. But, yeah, I think the standard is definitely still high.
Second year in a row, you guys have had a pretty new look offensive line going into the season. Obviously, it gelled really quickly this year, 6.5 yards per carry today. How do you think they played up front and blocked for you guys?
I mean, I think the numbers speak for themselves. They absolutely dominated the trenches today, you know, and that comes from them having their routine as well, you know, as a group. Not only do they hang out a lot at the facility doing extra, whether it's lifting or on the field going through their pass pro, but they do a lot outside the field to help that chemistry because, you know, O-line, they all got to work on one accord. And I feel like they showed that chemistry today.
Dante has admitted that he has a long way to go to get to the level of Bo and Dylan, but how would you assess his command and composure today?
I thought he did a great job, honestly. You know, we had a couple of pressures, and he got us into checks that we talked about all week, and they created explosives. And I felt like for him, you know, this only being his second year, honestly, being the leading quarterback, he did a great job of taking what we did all week and applying it to today.
Kind of along those lines, where have you seen his growth since he showed up back in January of 2024?
I would definitely say being more of a vocal leader, you know, understanding and taking that role of being QB1 and, you know, directing the offense, not only the offense, but the team in general. You know, definitely does a great job of words of encouragement throughout the week. When we break it down, like on Wednesdays, when we have recovery days, he'll break it down at the end. And, you know, he has some real positive words that'll get us fired up. And I feel like that plays a huge role when the season comes because, you know, you look to your leaders to be the standard. And I feel like he sets the standard and he shows us all what it is to be a young quarterback.
Hey, Noah, I asked the same question to Dante, but how much did you guys want to make a statement today and come out and really have a strong opener as opposed to Idaho last year?
I feel like we just wanted to come out and play against Oregon better than what we played against Oregon last year. You know, we always talk about throughout the week, we're not playing an opponent, we're playing ourselves. And I feel like last year, coming out against Idaho, we didn't beat ourselves. You know, this year we really said that we were going to, you know, hone in on the details, you know, not beat ourselves, which I feel like we did a great job of today because I think we only had like maybe 2 penalties, you know, so that's a big growth for us as a team. And I think, you know, we did that today.
It was a pretty clean football game for Oregon in Week 1 against Montana State, a 59-13 victory. I said Noah Whittington had the first touchdown. He had the first explosive. He had the fourth touchdown for Oregon in the game. The Ducks had 8 touchdowns in the game. 3 of them were from a freshman running back in Jordan Davison. Jaden Lamar had 1. Kenyon Sadiq had 1. Noah Whittington had 1. And then the guy we're about to hear from, Gary Bryant. Well, Malik Benson also had 1. And also Gary. Did I miss one, Scott? Was that 8? You think that? There was a lot of touchdowns. There were a lot of touchdowns. The Duck had to do a lot of push-ups. But, yeah, he looked good doing them. He was able to execute all 59 of them towards the end of the game. And he had to do a few more when Gary Bryant scored. It was a screen pass where Gary Bryant, he looked great, catching the ball, shirking off a tackler, getting to the end zone. Also, his counterpart to Corian Moore looked great because he pancaked one of the defenders and blocked him into another defender. It was a dual block pancake, which sprung Gary Bryant Jr. in for a touchdown. We're hearing from Gary Bryant after the game on Saturday, in which he had 4 receptions, 31 yards, and that touchdown. Here's Gary Bryant.
Getting into the end zone, just walk us through that play and just, I guess, the feeling that comes with it after.
Yeah, it was a RPO play. I kind of knew I was getting the ball before the play just because of the look of the defense that they had on us. Tate threw it out there, and, you know, like football, you got to make one guy miss. It's 11 on 11. It's not 12 on 11, so everybody's not going to be blocked. So you got to make one guy miss. I looked up, made him miss, and DK had a great block, sealed it up for me, and it was a walk-in touchdown.
When you lead the room as you do, what does it mean to you when all 7 healthy scholarship guys, and the room's down 2 more guys today, when it's all 7 of you contribute in some way, everybody gets a touch, everybody was productive? What does that mean to you when you lead the room as the way you do?
Yeah, it means a lot. Like, the guys before us, they definitely set a foundation in the tradition in our wide receiver room. Like, the team is going to lead through the wide receivers, and you got to make plays out there. So, like, we harping on that every day at practice. And, you know, coming to the game day, it's like it's another day at practice for us, man. It's Oregon versus Oregon. We preach that a lot. And everybody has to do their 111. Like, do your job, man. I think we do a good job at the wide receiver. Like, man, everybody knows when they come in there, they're detail-oriented, and they know exactly what to do. So it's easy to rotate 7 guys because everybody can go in there and do their job and compete at a high level.
You told me earlier this week that you've kind of just been itching a little bit to get back since you were injured last year. Like, how does it feel to not only get back but score when you're back?
Yeah, it feels great. Like, just being out there with the guys, man, the energy on that field is, like, amazing. You know, obviously, this was our first game, so competing against another team these last, 4 or 5 weeks that we've been competing against each other, but just going out there, hitting somebody else, and then getting in the end zone, man, it just feels amazing that a general rush, like, the whole team is happy for you, man, and it's like, man, we just got to keep going.
Your thoughts on Dante's performance and just his overall impact and command of your unit?
Yeah, I mean, he did a great job today, like, spreading the ball around. I think everybody in the receiver room had a few catches, and that's incredible to see. Like, man, 7 different guys touched the ball in one game. He's a competitor, and he like this year he's been stepping up, leading the team, man, getting all 11 guys to do their job on offense, and just being that voice, that leader that we need.
Dan said that he was blocking the wrong guy, but regardless, he still finished the play. What did it mean to you to see him kind of celebrate that block as much as you were celebrating the touchdown and have a young guy kind of take that to heart?
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. Like, man, coming from a wideout to a wideout, seeing him block somebody into the ground on a touchdown run is like, it's amazing. And we preach that, like, man, let's be physical on the perimeter. I know we can make explosive plays down the field, but if we could be a wideout team that can block on the perimeter and, you know, put guys in the ground and pancake them, man, that's an amazing feeling.
A lot of running backs touched the ball today. Noah was the lead back. What have you seen from Noah that impresses you? Because clearly he's impressed the coaches enough to become the starter despite a very talented group.
Yeah, I mean, his mindset, like, it's a lot of stuff that goes unseen within, like, the program, man. That guy is up early, taking care of his body, getting catches on the Monarch, like, doing all the little details that he, like, me and him have personal conversations, just doing everything right. And everything's going to turn out for him that he, like, everything he wants is going to turn out for him. Like, he's definitely a good guy, and, man, he wants it. So, it's definitely paying off.
Gary Bryant, a veteran and a leader in that wide receiver room. 4 receptions, 31 yards, and a touchdown. One of 2 wide receivers to catch a touchdown. We'll hear from the other wide receiver, Malik Benson, who got into the end zone after this timeout when we return. It's Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hear that? The crowd's going wild for all the end of summer fun at Toyota's National Sales Event. Going now until September 2nd. Woo-hoo!
See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Toyota, let's go places.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Hear that? The crowd's going wild for all the end of summer fun at Toyota's National Sales Event. Going now until September 2nd. Woo-hoo!
See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
If you build a relationship, then it becomes easier. If you build trust, it becomes easier. As a parent, you want what's best for your child. To give them the love that a child needs is probably the best you can do for a teenager.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
You say you'd never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, no, it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Continuing to break down Oregon football's 59-13 victory over Montana State here in the Country Financial Studio on Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. We heard from one of the wide receivers that caught a touchdown in this ball game, and Gary Bryant will hear from another one, a new transfer into the program, in Malik Benson, who led the team in receptions with 5, 51 yards, and a touchdown, and who is developing a tight connection with Dante Moore, even though Benson is a newcomer here on campus. Malik Benson made quite the impression in game number 1. He spoke with the media after the game.
It seemed like you and Dante had a really good connection out there. How have you guys kind of built that so quickly with you just getting here?
When I took my visit, he was my host, hanging out, that day. And then, once I got here, honestly, just hanging out each and every day, going over plays, going out to eat, just hanging out, things like that, just so we know that, once the time comes now, it's just everyone gonna be able to see our connection.
10 different receivers caught not receivers, 10 different players caught passes today. What's it like to be part of a receiver room that's so deep and part of an offense that has so many weapons?
Just to go to show, our selflessness. Once you see, a guy make a play, everybody on the sideline, everybody on the receiver corps, just as happy as if, they made the play. So, things like that.
The receiver room got considerably younger in this past offseason, except with the addition of you. How have you been able to mentor the younger guys and just show them how it is and how to be a college football player?
Just letting them guys know that, ain't nothing wrong with, being nervous. When I was my first time playing college football, I was nervous. But just to let them know that their opportunities coming, and that the unique thing about this year for them is they don't have to sit and wait. They can, kind of get their feet wet and be able to go in now. And that's good for us now. So when we get in the big games, all the nervousness for them, will be gone.
Can you explain the growth of the command of the offense from Dante since you've arrived, that you've seen from him? Because he talked about how early on in his career he'd take chunk plays or try to make chunk plays or force throws, and he's starting to take the easy play.
Just him knowing, we should stay in front of the chains. Not every play needs to go deep. But, if he does do that, as receivers, we got to, make him look right. And, he makes us, look good too. So it's just him knowing we all just got to be on the same page, running the right depths and things like that. And knowing just because we don't get 50 plays on this play, you could check it down and we can get 50 plays on the check down.
You mentioned the receivers taking pride in celebrating each other's successes. Curious what your guys' reaction was to seeing DeCorian's block during Gary's touchdown.
Man, so, we call plays like that ATM. So, every play, obviously we watch, but a play like that just shows a guy like DeCorian who's very electric. Not only is he electric with the ball in his hands, but he's electric without the ball in his hands. And now, once people see that on film, they'll know he's not just a pass-catching receiver. He can do it all. So that really, that's a young guy doing that. And if everyone's doing that, then we're going to be a scary group to go against.
Capped off a well-executed 2-minute drill with the touchdown. How did it feel scoring for the first time in front of the Autzen faithful?
It was just a blessing, just that my number was able to get called and I made the play when my number was called.
Malik Benson at Autzen Stadium, he did cap off a very well-executed 2-minute drill for Oregon, and those are the type of reps. Even though the Ducks were in command at that point, some teams, you might run the ball, you might take it into halftime. No. Oregon decided they were going to go for the points and rep out what would happen because you only get so many opportunities. There's only 12 games on the schedule. You only get so many opportunities to be in a 2-minute drill, and Malik Benson capped off the 2-minute drill with a score. Whole lot of offense so far in today's show. We're getting to hear from some of the defensive highlights from Oregon at Autzen Stadium on Saturday when we return after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs. And for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, non-profit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working at our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Let's take a moment to breathe. Deep inhale. Extend your spine. Remain focused on what you're doing. If safe to do so, exhale slowly, leaning to one side. Inhale back to center. If safe to do so, exhale slowly to the opposite side. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. This message is brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ed Council.
Put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, closing out Duck Insider, but we haven't heard from the defense yet. Amari Washington, 5 tackles, including a tackle and a half for loss. He was all over the place on the defensive interior. Hearing from Amari Washington.
Dan said you guys went in this game with one focus, trying to stop their run. How does it feel to come out and, actually accomplish that?
I mean, I feel like it's really the goal every time we step on the field is to stop the run. Like, I'm saying? It's going to always be the standard. And get these guys to stop running the ball. We can make them one-dimensional.
You had one of those big run stops early. What play there? Can you just walk us through what you saw on that play?
I feel like we looked at that same play that they ran. I believe it was split zone. And I feel like we talked about it. We had the right calls to fit in right into it. I feel like I just needed to execute what I was going to do, and the play was going to come to me.
How much of last year's Idaho game did you guys see this week?
I honestly don't know. I was just out there playing, to be real with you. I don't know what Idaho did last year according to this game, but we just went out there and tried to execute.
What's the potential you think this defensive line could be? Because week one, you looked pretty good.
I mean, I feel like it's just week one. I mean, I feel like we still got more room for growth. Definitely, I feel like every time we hit the field, there's never time to stop growing. You know what I'm saying? Like, week 2 should look different. It should look better than week 1. And we'll just keep growing. Like, I feel like we got the dudes in our room to, like, really separate.
How good did it feel to go up guys that aren't, Dave and Emmanuel and Iapani? How did it feel to play someone other than your own teammates?
I actually get, like, I like going against other teams. I feel like we see the same people every day. It starts to get, like, I don't know, mundane, but I feel like we got to go out there and execute, but it's still, I like going against other teams because I get to work different moves that they haven't seen me do. Like, our offensive linemen, they didn't see me do different things. They know what's coming, so it's like, it's real hard to just keep mixing it up every day.
They went jumbo today, and I don't think you were out there on offense. How do you get back out there on fullback snaps?
It's something I got to talk to Coach Stein about. You know what I'm saying? I feel like what happened last year, I think it was one of the plays. I think I got hit a little bit. I guess he thought I was too banged up a little bit. I mean, I don't know what he thought about it after, but I think I could go back out there and make something happen, though.
Amari Washington made things happen on the defensive end. Maybe he'll get back out there on the offensive side of things, too. But the way he's eating up opposing teams' running backs, I think that he'll be just fine on the defensive interior. Oregon football, a 59-13 win in week 1, off to a 1-0 start. Oregon volleyball off to a 3-0 start after a successful weekend for the Ducks. South Dakota, Prairie View A&M, Montana State. Ducks got 2 wins against Montana State on the weekend. A undefeated start for Trent Kirsten's team, and also a Big Ten Freshman of the Week honor for Alana Clemente, who had a big weekend for Oregon volleyball in their opening weekend of the season. Oregon will be back home this week. Get to see the Ducks at home. Check the schedule, goducks.com. But Oregon, throughout the course of this week, will be back home at Matthew Knight Arena, where we get to see the first iteration of this Trent Kirsten-coached volleyball squad. Oregon soccer out on the pitch at Pat Bay Field. It seemed like Oregon had a strong offensive showing, but ultimately it was Grand Canyon at Pups at the Park Day that came out on top. Oregon still fighting with Coach Tracy Joyner in year 1 to continue to bring out strong results. It's a upward trajectory for Oregon soccer and Oregon track and field. They were in action for the first time this weekend as well. Week 2 is here, and before we know it, it'll be Oklahoma State at Autzen Stadium. Go Ducks!
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like, it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age. Everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services,